Good evening, Mr. Del Valle. Thank you so much for your email that you sent Friday. And I have a bunch of notes, and I thought to myself, this Sunday, I'm really not in a mood to write a lot, but I am in the mood to create a video that I'm going to share with you. And hopefully, I'll be able to share even more information with you because, writer's fatigue, etc. And I also just wanted to share some pictures with you too. And I thought, this is a great way to do it. And what I was also thinking about is setting up a standalone YouTube page that the two of us can utilize, or at least I might utilize it more often to send messages to you with pictures and so forth, but also for you to kind of understand what I might be thinking about a certain thing or sharing something with you that's unusual or different. And I have to say that I recently found this. Actually, I found it yesterday. Or was it Friday? I think it was Friday. Not sure. So this book was written in 1959, and it's a fabulous book that talks about this Pope who, in my opinion, was probably the first modern Pope when it came to developing communications through radio, communications through their own newspaper that was established. He was a diplomat, and during World War II, he was an advocate for trying to create some kind of peace as Europe was breaking out in war. And ironically, he served in Germany as a priest, actually as a bishop, I believe. I believe he was either a bishop or cardinal. I read it this morning. I already forgot, right? So you may think, why in the world am I coming across these things? And what I'd like to say is, I don't find these things. They find me, right? And something interesting has happened. I'm going to send this to you, by the way. It's really good. I went through. It's a very short read, but the pictures are fabulous. So you have another book on the way from 1959. So one of the things that I believe is very interesting to me is that I feel that with these gifts, I'm basically a messenger, right? And what I mean by that is I'll find these religious objects, these crosses, and almost feel like God's playing a game with me. Now, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. You see this? See this right here? This was in here earlier today. So I kid you not, as of this morning, 9 crosses in here, okay? And I love to thrift, and I love to go to vintage shops and so forth. And in the past 2 months, I'm finding all these crosses at really great prices, like this $1. This is handmade, vintage. I mean, someone put time into this. There's other things that I'll find for 50 cents to $1. The most I'll pay is about $2. But I usually will find things in a bulk package. So this morning, I was driving to the Mission Flea Market, and I was thinking about this video, and I was also thinking about telling you about these crosses, which I'm doing now, right? So I put 10 additional items in this box that it's missing right now. And as I'm driving, I see 4 police cars under the bridge on 35 heading towards the south side of San Antonio. And I thought, I'm going to give these crosses to these law officers to protect them, for them and their families. Now, just last week in this same room, there was a big Suburban outside, big black shiny Suburban. It said SAPD on the flap, the visor flap. So I knew the mayor is in the building, right? It was weird. It was like Friday night. So I walk in. Sure enough, there were 2 plainclothes officers sitting in this lobby a few yards away from here. And went into my office, grabbed 2 silver crosses, similar to this one here, but silver, okay? So I go up to these officers and I say, gentlemen, I presume you're law officers, and I wanted to give you these 2 crosses for you and your families, and I value our first responders, and I think over the years, what the media has done in reference to the image of law officers is unfair, because for the most part, most law enforcement officers are veterans. They're working families. I mean, they're working people who are out there. They're just doing their job, right? And this morning, as I'm driving down the highway, I see these officers, and you're not going to believe this. There were 2 cars. There were 2 police officers sitting in each one. I gave away a total of 7 crosses to them. And right now it's about 8 p.m. Sunday night. I was driving back to the office to do some paperwork tonight, also to do this video. And I saw a police officer pull up in my parking lot. So I had another cross from this little bucket here, or this plastic thing. And I walked over to him, and he was about to eat dinner in his car, and I gave him the cross. And I thought to myself, I'm not what you would call a traditional practicing Catholic, okay? And I thought for a quick second, I'm really doing missionary work. Because God keeps sending me these crosses, and I keep giving them away, right? And which leads me to one for you that I'm sending, and so the other day I was remembering your sister's altar, all the colors and the flowers and everything else, and lo and behold, guess what I find? I find this. So this is for your sister's altar. It was sent to me. It was sent to you. Again, I'm just the messenger. Because when you find these objects, there's always that voice inside that will say, this goes here, this goes there. This is it's like an assignment. And I know this sounds so goofy and weird coming from a dude who's not at church every Sunday, but I feel like the world's my church, and I love to give, I love to share. And it's really amazing how these gifts affect people. And what I mean by that is you can see their eyes opening up. You can see this guard coming down. And that's exactly what they are. They're blessings. And they're just saying, here you go. You know, it's not like I own a restaurant here. I want you to protect my place. No, you're a random stranger, and I just want to bless you with this. So thank you for allowing me to bless you with the things that I have found for you. I have to say that when I first saw your 2 levels of religious items, I just fell in love, because I actually have one myself. I'll have to take a picture of them for you at my house. I have Orthodox icons, crosses, crucifixes, everything. It's great stuff. So seeing that in my grandparents' home was just such a blessing for me, a visual blessing, because of the beauty, the power, and I can only presume that those objects are blessing you every single night as you sleep, as you work on your computer, etc. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you, okay? So I have a little list here so I don't forget certain things. And so the voice of God for me comes in moments of intuition, right? And when my father passed away, this voice said, you have work to do, okay? And it's my belief that you have work to do involves this research project that I'm doing right now, having to go back and study old Laredo, family stories, and in a very weird way, I had a cousin of mine, Jorge, who wrote me, and he said, you know, what you're doing has really brought our family together. And ironically, this Saturday, Jorge and his wife Isabel, and here's a good one. So Isabel works with a small group of Irish priests based in San Antonio, and at one point it was a very large group, and now there's a handful of these priests from Ireland. And I found this book for her, and it says The Official Irish Joke Book, book number 3, book number 2 to follow. That's cute. So this was published in New Zealand. No, let's see where this was published in Great Britain in 1978. Again, I found this, and who else could I think of but my cousin's wife, Isabel. So, getting back to Jorge and Isabel, they were in Laredo Friday, and they visited with my tia Carmen, my cousin Elda, her husband Chester, and I interviewed them in February or March. And then I also interviewed my tío René, who lived in your home for many years, and Jorge had a picture with them, and I also visited my tío René, and we drove around Laredo and visited, and I did some filming with him. So my father's passing has led to this wonderful process of learning about our history, our past. And a few days ago, I came up with some questions that I'm going to send my cousins. It's almost like a series, right? And the series that I have in mind is the life lessons of our ancestors. I just made that up, right? But I'm going to send my cousins questions for future interviews, but also I want to document what they learned growing up, visiting my grandparents at your home, what my grandparents taught them. And by the way, I'm going to show you, if you have not seen, this is a picture of my grandmother, Aurora San Miguel Solis. This was taken in the 20s, okay? And she was married to a gentleman by the name of San Miguel, and he perished in his activities as law enforcement along the border, and she remarried my grandfather, who is right here standing in front of your home, ironically, okay? So that's my grandfather, Francisco Solis. I don't know who those children are, but I have a feeling the child right over here is my prima Michelle. So these are my grandparents who lived in your home for many, many years and raised. I also wanted to show you my picture of my father. This is my father, Jose Luis Solis Sr., my two daughters. That's Melanie over here. She just got married and she lives in Seattle. And this is Maggie, or Margarita Elena. And she lives here in San Antonio. She's going to UTSA. And this picture was taken in 2024 at the Super Bowl party at the Solis residence on Hatton Street here in San Antonio. My father passed away a few months after this, right? So my father was not born in your home. He was actually born in the home on San Pablo, across the street. So this would be the house facing Zacate Creek. If you're facing the house to the right, there's an empty parking lot or parking space there. There's the house that's abandoned. That he was born in that house, but my tío Neto made a video 25 years ago, and he said in this video, which I have, and I can send it to you. If you have a DVD player, I can send you this video. I'd love for you to see it. Because what they did, what my uncle and Chester did, is they filmed 40 minutes of content in Barrio Azteca, my grandfather. I'm going to send it to you. I think you're going to really like it. So, where was I going to? So my tío Neto in this video said that my father, or their house that they lived in, was an adobe-style house that was on that property, but it was demolished, and later on they built the house that's still there. And again, he made this in 25 years ago, year 2000, and I suspect that what he's saying makes sense, because he was there, he remembers the old adobe house, and he said this one was replaced. So I've wanted to visit that original house, but it appears as though that house is abandoned. There's a lot of stuff in front of it, like old gates and stuff like that. And the house to the left, where the homeowner lives, the two times that I've been by, there has always been mail stuffed in there, like they haven't checked the mail in a while, and there's like a lock and a chain and so forth. So I'm still intrigued by that house, but your house is the real jewel of the Solis family. It's iconic and so forth. So let me go down this list, see what I've missed. I also found another item that I believe was sent for your sister's altar, and it's a Madonna in this beautiful, iconic ceramic. It almost looks like a little cavern, like something cavern, but it's I don't have it here. It's at my house, and I'll send that to you in the future. But in reference to the flood information you sent me, that was absolutely incredible. And one has to think that must have been so much water from Hurricane Alice in 1954 that Zacate Creek, which is massive, right? The water would have been above the houses and the bridge. I mean, it's just unfathomable how many lives were affected by that, including my grandparents. And just the notion of that house, your house, being underwater for, I don't know, weeks or something, it's beyond belief. And one thinks about the hardship your ancestors, your family members, my Solis family members went through, because water's so destructive. And you have issues like mud, dirty stuff that has to be cleaned off the walls, the floor. You also have to deal with things like mold. I mean, that's a big, big deal. And I never heard my father talk about that. And in fact, very few family members have talked about that. So that was 1954. My father would have been about 10 years old. And you forget a lot of things, when you're 10 years old. But that must have been traumatic as it comes. And the whole notion of families being trapped in Nuevo Laredo, as you mentioned, and they had to build this, temporary bridge so people could cross back to their homes that have been destroyed. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing those pictures with me. I sent a link through Google to my cousins about that and the flood and so forth. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. It would be fascinating to know if someone in Laredo or South Texas published a book about that great flood of 1954, because I think that'd be a great read. And the pictures were great. Thank you so very much for that. And now, in your message, you talked about your niece and the contractor coming to take a look at your home in the fall and so forth. And what I wanted to propose to you is that my mother, who lost my father December 26, 2024, she was so thrilled that I was able to visit my father's childhood home with you. And my brother is a construction real estate attorney who's retired. And they will be traveling to Zapata, Texas on the 27th of May to give out some scholarships. And we were there, my mother, brother, and myself were in Laredo because my mother endowed 2 Martin High School graduates scholarship money. So they're going to be traveling down to Laredo. And Mr. Del Valle, I would love for you to meet my brother because, number one, my brother knows contracts, he knows construction law, he knows real estate law. He's worked with contractors for decades. In fact, he lived in he spent the summer in Laredo working with my father and my father's business partner under the name of Barcelona Builders. And in fact, this team actually won the courthouse renovation contract, I don't know, in the 90s. My father's name is on the plaque inside of that courthouse. So there's a consultant in Laredo that I believe would love to help you in terms of, hey, let's look at the property, because they're specialists, or at least this lady's a specialist in restoring vintage, antique properties and so forth. I mean, it's really a very sophisticated science. So with your permission, I would love to send, my brother has your email address, and he also has your phone number, but what I was going to suggest with your blessing is that maybe they stop by your home on the 27th of May, and I would love for you to meet my mom, I would love for you to meet my brother, and it's my opinion my brother would be honored to help you review documents. Now, I can't speak for him, but knowing his love for the Solis family and heritage and that home that I'm sure the two of them would love to see, it's a resource, a very valuable resource, because just one minute clause or statement could mean, hey, oh, we're not going to pay for this, or hey, you know, this is not included. And I think having two more sets of eyes who are very familiar with construction, the law, contracts, and also they can visit with this contractor and take a look at the scope of work and determine, okay, you know, based on our calculations, this is what you're quoting, but this looks a little off, this wasn't added. I think things like that could only benefit you. Again, use your contractors, use your people, your niece and so forth, but what I believe my Solis family members would love is just to be folks on the side helping you out to the best of our ability without saying, hey, we're going to do this for you, but we want money or anything else like that. Your home, as I've said many times before, is so sacred to us, and what you're doing to bring it up and restore it to the best of your ability is just magnificent. And I'm with you. I could completely understand how the interior will look so different when insulation is added and all the updates are made, and it'll be ready for a new generation of families. You know? Of course, people like me, we're infatuated with history, the original walls and so forth, but the reality is that life changes and families need to be protected from the elements. And you talked about triple-digit heat in Laredo, and God bless you in Laredo. We're having a little taste of it, but nothing like Laredo, because I remember living there for about 6 years between 76 or 74 and 81 or 75, 81, something like that. So I remember the heat. It was not easy. You got to be a true warrior to survive something like that. So now, ironically, my father used to work at Mercy Hospital, where your family member stayed during the Great Flood of 1954, and that is amazing. I mean, of course, Laredo is one of these cities, in my opinion, that you can go to Europe, go to Amsterdam, and you'll be visiting some touristy place, and you'll run into somebody from Laredo. Oh, my cousin's from Laredo. Or I don't know why, but everyone has a connection to Laredo that mystifies me. And clearly your home is our connection to Laredo. Now, my tío Neto, and ironically, my tío Neto, who lived in your home, he was a Marine, and he passed away about 8 years ago. And I found this for him, and I said, oh, there's God sending a Father's Day gift to my tío, he was also my godfather. He was a great guy. Oh my God, you would have loved him. Great jokes, amazing, and just a jewel. Now, his wife is still alive, my tia Carmen, my godmother, and Elda, and my godfather's only grandson, DJ, who now has a son. So they live in Laredo. They're wonderful people. I hope you get a chance to meet them at some point. So I've already gone over the construction. I also have a cousin by the name of Jorge Luna. Now, Jorge is the one I just mentioned a few minutes ago, right? Let me adjust this right here. Okay. And Jorge's mother, my tia Lucy Luna, she applied for a whole bunch of grants and got improvements made at her home. Jorge also specializes in senior services in terms of what Medicare can do for seniors and so forth. So I would love to connect you to him. Who knows? A lot of these people who are tied into social services can say, oh, Mr. Del Valle, there's a certain benefit that will help you as a senior citizen. And I'm sure Jorge Luna, and again, I can't speak for him, but I'm sure he would love to help you and find out, hey, are there any grants out there that you can apply for? Because his mom applied for these grants, and she was very persistent, super smart, and really made it happen. So I would love to connect you to Jorge. And once again, as a member of our family, if we can be of assistance with a tip, with a referral or something, if it can benefit you, it's another blessing we'd love to share with you. Okay, I've talked about the CD for my tío Neto. By the way, I wanted to propose an idea to you. One of the things that I would love to do in this research is to find neighbors who can recall interactions with my Solis family members. I would just love to hear any stories you may have. And what I would propose to you is that if you tell me, hey, Joe, I visited with 2 neighbors and I was able to create this essay. Your time is valuable, and I would love to compensate you for that time because it's more research that helps us, the children and grandchildren and future children of the Solis family, to know this really rich, lovely history about fortitude, sticking together, helping each other out, making stuff happen. There's so many life lessons that were learned under your roof. And if we don't preserve these stories, they will disappear. But finding a way to document these stories is what I'm after. So kick that around. If it's something you're open to, I would love to have that conversation with you. And again, share my blessings with you in terms of helping you, compensating you for your time and for your effort. What was I going to say? Okay, no, I don't. That was that. Oh, okay. So my tia Gloria, who married my uncle Raul Solis, their house, her family's house, was 2 or 3 doors to the left of your home. I don't have the exact address, but when I send you the DVD from my tío Neto, he makes reference to that house. He says, oh, this is the house where tia Gloria lived and she met. So for my cousins whose mother was tia Gloria, I think they would love to hear those stories, maybe visit that home if it's a possibility. And which leads me to another question. There's only one living Solis family member who lived in your home, and it's my tío René Solis. He's married. He's approximately 78. He lives in North Laredo, and he was tickled pink, thrilled that I was able to meet you and visit your home. And if there's a certain weekend that the two of us, that all of us can agree upon, I would love to have another opportunity to visit your home with my Uncle Rene, to hear the stories about where he slept, where my father slept, where just all of these magnificent stories, because he spent, I guess, 18 years there, 20 years of his life in that home. And I would love for you to hear those stories. I would love to document those stories. So if you're open to it, I can make my way to Laredo one weekend. You can tell me which one, and we would love to have it. love to make it happen, and my Tio Rene would be just so honored and thrilled to look at your space firsthand and capture that history for his children and our family members. Who would love to hear things that he may recall, like, oh my God, in this corner this happened and that happened, etc. So I shared pictures of my father, my grandparents, and it's now 30 minutes into the video, and I don't want to take up your entire evening, but I can't even imagine how long this essay would have been if I had posted it, or if I had written it out, right? So, Mr. Del Valle, thank you so very much for your time. This magnificent cross that belongs to your sister will be in the mail. So will this book. And I wanted to thank you one more time for your friendship, your kindness. And this has been a tough week for me. And I won't go into the details. One of the toughest ones in my life. When I got your email Friday, I felt like it was a blessing from the Holy Spirit saying, keep the faith, brother. Stay strong. And my father always wanted to write a book. I don't know if I shared this with you. Maybe I did. But he never wrote a book. And I feel that this project is really my father, the Holy Spirit, creating the book he never wrote. And my goal is for future generations to look at this and say, these people were tough. We come from really tough people. In fact, the first person I interviewed was a gentleman who lived in the Valle neighborhood, okay? And the first thing he said to me as we started our conversation, he said, you know, your grandmother, she used to comb her hair just like that. And I think about my grandmother, Aurora Solis, because I only met her on a couple of occasions because I was like 9 or 10 at the time. She died, I believe, oh Lord, I believe she died in 80. Let me see here, 1 second. I should know this. She was born, by the way, she was born in, let me tell you this, I'm glad I saw this. My grandmother was born in Candela, Mexico in 1905, and my grandfather, Juan Francisco Solis, was born in 1892 in La Paz, Mexico. So I have made contact with a journalist in Candela, Mexico. His name is Mr. Cifuentes, and he has a Facebook page called Hoy Coahuila. Hablo español también, eh? So I reached out to him and I asked him if he could create 10 videos about Candela, Mexico. I would love to travel down there, but it's my understanding that the highway from Nuevo Laredo to Candela, Mexico, it's a rough area. It's a little challenging for tourists. I mean, I know people from Mexico who don't even take that highway. So in the short run, I'd rather leave it to the professionals. So what Mr. Cifuentes has told me is that the tourism board loves the idea. They're on board. He's spoken to the mayor of Candela. He also loves the idea. He's on board. And what I envision is 10 videos, one of them involving, the streets of Candela, because it's a very small place. I think the population is 5,000, something super small. And I would like for the government officials to pull documents that they may have. I only have 2 documents, but they're religious documents. So if we can find cousins, distant family members, I think it'd be a real jewel for all of us. And I've been waiting almost a month and a half for a quote, and it hasn't arrived yet. But one of the things that I've learned dealing with Mexicanos in Mexico is that they have their own pace. They don't like to be pushed. They don't like to be bothered. So he wrote me recently and said, I'm working on your quote. I'm going to have it Monday. So I didn't say anything, but what I tend to do is I start liking more of his Facebook posts. And I'm not a Facebook guy, by the way. I have a fake account, and I just use it to watch invitations put out by local groups, fundraising groups, not fundraising groups, but the groups focus on history and culture here in San Antonio. It's a great outlet to see those advertisements for events. San Antonio is a very big city when it comes to cultural events having to do with Latino functions, etc. So I love to go to them. Many of them are free. A few they charge money for, but for the most part, it's a great way to learn about that. So that's an extension of this project, is Candela Mexico. So I've gone international, which I think is really, really cool. And God willing, Mr. Cifuentes will come up with a quote, and I'll send him some money for his time. And you would think that, hey, if you're a journalist and you have bills to pay, you'd be a little bit more maybe receptive to starting the project sooner than later. But I see him on Facebook all the time. He's visiting restaurants, so he's on his grind. He's on his hustle. I'm sure that's where he makes money, when he features these small businesses. And I know many of them feed. If you're an influencer, they feed you all the time at these restaurants and so forth, so they can get publicity. I don't know how I deviated into the last part about the research. Let me see here real quick. It's about my grandmother, when she was born, at home. Okay, it'll come to me. Maybe I already said it. But, so every morning when I do this with my hair, with my gel, because if I don't do it, it's going to go all crazy. I met her one time, but she had dementia in 79 or 80, and I feel very close to her. I feel this bond with her. My father the only thing my father wrote about his mother was an essay, and I'll have to share that with you. I need to find it online. I'll share it with you. I'm going to make that note here. Del Valle, Aurora, email. So you can see my father. My father talks about his parents. He talks about your home, and how my grandmother, people would see her moving her lips, and they would ask her, like, hey, what's going on? And she'd say, I'm praying. So she was a very faithful woman who prayed all the time. I mean, that was a very big part of her life. And in many ways, I feel like I'm a part of the transcendentalist movement. Emerson, Thoreau, all those cats from Boston, who believe that God is inside of you, and the voice of God is what leads you, and the way to proceed in life is to listen to that voice of God inside that's guiding you, leading you. And I live in that space. That's my space. I don't do well going to a church with 550 people. I don't know if it's just social anxiety and being in close and being in close proximity to a lot of people, but that's not the space for me. I cherish and value people that worship in that way, but at least for me, it's never been my thing. I feel like the world is my church. Doing good things, handing out blessings, sending blessings, mailing blessings is where I'm much more comfortable, and I think I'm much more effective. Am I doing the Lord's work? I don't know. But I keep telling God, I have a lot of things to do. I have bills to pay. I've got things going on. And God said, He'll say, this is what will happen. I'll give out 10 crosses, 7 crosses. And it never fails. 3 days later, I'm at a thrift shop, and I see a whole bunch of crosses. 6, 7, 8, 50 cents, $1, $2. And I'll think to myself, okay, here's the assignment. I got to give these out. I got to buy them and then give them out. And then you think to yourself, well, it adds up, doesn't it? It costs money to buy these things. And we're not talking hundreds of dollars, but $5, $10, $8, $10. It adds up, right? But it never fails. God blesses me in other ways. I'll get a referral. I get a quote, a piece of business that a policy change. I'm in the insurance business, I'm in the commercial insurance business. I insure contractors, real estate investors, people that have small businesses. That's what I do for a living, right? And I often feel that the blessings come in that way. God will say, okay, here's your blessing. You did good. You did fine. Here you go. That's my explanation of how I find these things. I'm the messenger, and God says, go do your work. You've got work to do, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, Mr. Del Valle, have a very nice week. Tomorrow is Monday, the 19th of May, and I wanted to thank you once again for your hospitality when I visited, your friendship, and this unique connection that we have. And if you think about it, it is unbelievable to think that we're communicating and your home is where my father grew up, where my Solis primos visited every other weekend or every weekend from San Antonio. One of my cousins said, you brought back so many amazing memories for me, when she reflected about your kitchen and the kitchen table and my abuelita Aurora making tortillas in your kitchen for my cousin Cindy Solis Alejos. And so you are blessing us with memories, recollections, and this fabulous story that we can now tell our children and for them grandchildren. So please know how blessed and grateful all of us are for allowing us to be part of your journey. And once again, whether you like it or not, we're going to adopt you. We've already adopted you. You are part of our family, and I hope you know that we hold you in a lot of esteem. We pray for you, and we're going to continue to be friends as you go down the line and maybe move to another town and so forth. So we're in it for the long haul. At least I am, right? At least I am. I'm in it for the long haul because I love sharing stuff, and I love sharing stories, and I love learning more, because the only way, in my opinion, one can grow through faith is by serving others, finding a way to enlighten people and give them blessings. And I believe that our video, these stories, they're blessings. They're not things we could touch, but they're blessings that our ancestors gave us. All right, Mr. Valle, this is the final goodbye. So have a great evening, a great week, and we shall be in touch. Big blessings. Ciao.